saw myself in a completely, like when you experience something like, oh, I'm physically gonna die, and you come back from that, you know, I think that teaches you so much about yourself. Like nothing that no textbook can ever teach you or no course can ever teach you, because you are the most vulnerable, I feel, in a position like that. And that's when you know like how strong you are.
Namaste, my name is Lavanya Talati, and today I'm joined by my mother Radhika and my sister Gautami, and the three of us are here to talk about our journeys in the Himalayas and the lessons that we've learned from the mountains. So our introduction into the mountains happened through mom. She has an incredible journey that I think I should just hand over the mic to her. And why don't you just start with how you discovered the Himalayas and what made you go back time and time again?
Thank you, Lavanya. And I don't know, the journey to the mountains started as a process of recuperation. I went through a lot of diseases. In fact, I was kind of bedridden for a long time in my life at a very young age, and that kind of scared me. And when I was detected with breast cancer, which happened, I happened to detect it very early, thankfully, the first stage, and decided to try alternate therapy because I was honestly not feeling very well in spite of so many advanced allopathy treatments. That kind of worked for me. And as a part of recuperation after the treatment, I chose to go to the Himalayas, and that's how the introduction to the mountains started, and I have never stopped. This happened in 2009, it's 2022. Every single year I have been back exploring new mountains, new trails. 90% of the time making the journey on my own, hiring Sherpas, spending time with local people, and that's how the journey has evolved over a period of time.
Can you tell us a little bit about this photo of you? So please give us context as to when this was taken.
This is one of my first photographs. This is a photograph from 2009 in my yoga shala in Himalayas, and it brings back a lot of memories where I was introduced to yoga for the first time. I had never practiced yoga, and I was introduced to meditation for the first time, and how sometimes when I look back and when I look at this picture especially, this was almost the last day when I was leaving the ashram. I wish I had taken a picture when I reached the ashram, and you would have seen the massive difference, and how it changed my life and how it continues to change my life even today. Yeah, so that's me, 2009, 36 years old.
The first time you recuperated?
I was completely recuperated. I had to leave the next day, and that was the picture taken at that point in time.
So mom obviously started in the Himalayas, and very soon after, I think Gautami followed suit. Out of all three of us, Gautami has been the child that has gone the most with moms on treks. In fact, both of them have finished the Panch Kailash, and very few people get to do that, so especially at that age. So Gautami, what was your first trek, and how old were you when you first went? And just tell us a little bit about your experience of that age in the mountains.
So I think the first trek that I did with mom was Adi Kailash. We did it in 2013.
So a young kid, 15 years old.
Yeah, I was 15 years old. And that was in Uttarakhand. It was the longest trek we've ever done actually. Actually, Mansarovar was the longest, but for a while that was the longest trek we'd done. 21 days, like, right off. So it was a very bold...
But beautiful. Oh my
yes.
God, beautiful.
It was a very, very bold introduction, but it was, like she said, beautiful. Also, I think because the first mountain that I did was a spiritual place, like it wasn't just any trek, it was a Kailash. So I think that introduction itself was very spiritual. So I didn't... I've always looked at mountains as a calling or as a thing, and I think it's also because the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. You know, it is what you're exposed to as a child that you will fall in love with. So I think now that I look back at it, Yeah, it was the best introduction. Like I couldn't have asked for a better mountain than Adi Kailash.
And I
to do.
always instinctively knew that you were a good climber.
Yes,
And
so-
now that's got validated in so many treks, you know.
So I think through mom, I have found like my space, my terrain in life. I think mountains, I resonate with them a lot,
Absolutely.
and I'm very grateful.
Yeah,
for that.
of course, and you know, at this point, I'd like to say that, you know, we keep telling that parents must introduce their children to a lot of these things, but there are not many children who kind of take to it or accept it wholeheartedly and kind of surrender to what the advice that your parents are giving. For in my case, fortunately, it worked out because not only did I tell them what I felt was good for them, but even my children have kind of taken to it and accepted and followed suit, and I think that's what completes the entire process of learning and, you know, connecting.
But I also think it's how you presented the mountains to us. Like this advice was not just given to us as this is right, so you should do it.
Yeah, like a force or something, or
it
like
was
you come
kind of
because
like
I do.
let's go there. I think it came from a place of you once told me that I enjoyed it so much. Like you enjoyed it so much from your heart that
Yes,
you're like, how
I
can
want
I
to
not share
share
this
it with my
kids?
children. Yeah, I always felt that. Yeah.
And
In
I
fact,
think it's that intention of like they might just have a lot of fun. So while Gautami's first introduction to the mountains was in the Himalayas itself, mine and my brother Vedant, we first went to the mountains in Africa. So
Yeah.
the
Yes.
first
Oh my God, that
mountain-
was
the
yeah.
first mountain that I ever climbed in my entire life with no prior training, might I add, was Kilimanjaro. And it's a pretty big mountain.
That was brave. Yeah.
But it was an amazing journey, and like I think Gautami said, even though we went there with a group of other people, having both my sister and my mom around really made it a spiritual experience because before we went onto the mountain, they taught us about respecting the earth, respecting
Yeah.
where you are, giving that due diligence to this incredible piece of history, right? Like rocks take what, millenniums to form?
Yeah.
And it's incredible that we get to see them, walk amongst them. So when we went, I think Kilimanjaro was an eye-opening experience for me.
And you were, I think, the same age.
We were I was 14,
14,
years
15,
old.
yeah. Some very
Yeah,
similar.
Vedant
Yeah.
was 11.
Vedant was
So
11.
yeah, so this is a picture of me, my brother, and our two Sherpas from Kilimanjaro. And
Yeah.
They were wonderful. I think Africa is one
Africa is
of
stunning.
the most
Oh my
beautiful
God.
regions I have ever seen. You know, we were in Tanzania and Kilimanjaro is gorgeous, but I think that was the first time as a family we experienced so much hardship, like physical hardship. First time as a family, like we were put out of our comfort zone, all of us together. So
Yeah.
I think that's kind of.
I think especially Vedant.
Yeah, I think because he was
Because,
so
yeah, he
young
was
too,
young
right? So I
and-
think that's memorable in a different way because collectively, like, you know, we all learned a lot. We all became so close. We all got to also like appreciate each other. I think because, like, you know, when all of us submitted it, we were like, you know, wow. And like you generally start to take your family members as very ordinary when you start, you know, you don't
Yeah.
realize like how much potential they can actually have, or, you know, they can summit a mountain and you never thought they
You
could.
you learn gratitude. I
Yes,
feel. You just
definitely.
learn to be very grateful for the entire thing.
this is a picture of the three of us.
Yeah.
At the base in Kilimanjaro.
Yeah, that's one of my. There's also one more picture of me picking up Vedant. I think that's a very, very cute picture.
Yeah.
Even this is a very nice picture. And the thing is that more than, of course, pictures now that we have a print, otherwise generally it's in your mobile phone or in your device. But prints have a different feeling to it. And so it's the same thing, you know, you go to mountains when you can touch and feel the air and, you know, breathe in the smell and, you know, elevate yourself quite literally from the ground, you know, because you're climbing one step at a time. And I remember that one word that Deuce, our Sherpa over there, would tell us, pole pole, and it means go slow, go slow. And I think pole pole is something we have incorporated in our lives.
Yeah.
We say this to each other all the time that let's slow down, pole pole, let's just slow down, let's take it
It
each day.
definitely sticks with you. I think as somebody, I was a preteen at the time that I went.
Yeah.
And I think the first thing that the mountains have ever taught me was just that you really do, it's very cliche to, like, you see a lot of quotes like take one step at a time, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. But it's very true.
Very
Like,
true,
in
yeah.
a mountain, if you do not focus on the step in front of you, you won't reach anywhere. The next picture that I have is from Mani Mahesh Kailash. I wish I had another photo. I look very bad in this. But this is the time that we took members from the Ra community.
Yes.
to
First time
Mani
ever.
Mahesh. Yeah.
So for me, mountains has been very personal in terms of that's my personal time.
Yeah, like we never go with groups.
We
or
don't
like,
ever
you know,
go
we generally
with groups,
alone.
not for any other reason, because we all of us in fact live such hectic lives, and you know everybody deserves to take some time off for themselves. So for me, taking that time off for myself has always been going on a mountain alone or with my children, and that's that, you know. But for the first time, because you know my yoga students kept continuously seeing me over the years trekking, they requested me, and then you know, fine, we thought that you know, why don't we take them to Mani Mahesh, and they did stupendously well, because of course they were trained, they all got trained for 30 days beforehand before we took them to the mountains. But something about, I think we did a 14,500 feet trek in just one day. So we were, which generally people do it in 2 days, they break it down in 2 days, but we did one day and all of us did it, and that was fantastic. Everybody, if you ever get a chance, and if we ever get a chance to talk about this in length, the experience of a higher entity, of a higher energy, you might call that energy in different names, and every single person has had that experience. And there are some very interesting stories, and I think, and for
we have some
Gautami,
very interesting
and for
stories.
Gautami, who was flawless on a mountain, in fact, it was one of her toughest treks, given the fact that that trek was not actually tough.
Yeah, I think it's all very I think that's what she said, that the biggest lesson you can take is that you can't take anything for granted. Like in a mountain, in life, because easy or difficult is relative, how fit you are is relative. Tomorrow someone might be like free soloing a mountain, like in the documentary
We just
you
saw this amazing
and that
documentary,
might
yeah.
become honestly the coolest thing someone's, you know, that you've ever done.
Yes.
So
Or the most tragic.
or the most tragic. So I don't think it's like, अच्छा तुमने अगर ये पहाड़ चढ़ा है तो you are a mountaineer, or if, you know, if you've done a certain tough thing. I think just allowing yourself to experience something new to you is a journey in itself.
Wow.
Whether it's on a
So
mountain,
well said.
whether it's off a mountain.
Very well said, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I want to take some time to talk about the animals of the Himalayas. This is an old photo I found of you.
I love that picture.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
mom with many rabbits. Can you show
So
it to
these
the
are
camera?
bunnies that we found in Uttarakhand.
No, this was Mansarovar.
No, this is not Mansarovar.
Where is this?
This is Uttarakhand. Not Uttarakhand. Himachal Pradesh.
Okay, maybe.
Himachal
So many
Pradesh.
mountains, I'm very confused.
No, this is Himachal Pradesh, and this was in Mani Mahesh Kailash. So I have done Mani Mahesh Kailash 5 times. So this is one of those trips when I did it when I was alone, and we found these incredible number of bunnies, and I just happened to pick up 4. And it's
But even apart from the bunnies, I think we've encountered a lot of animals in the mountains.
oh
So
my
They
god, they
are-
saved my life.
Oh my god.
They saved my
There
life.
was this so yeah.
You have to talk about that.
The animals there are so adorable, it's not even a joke. Like every time we're like, we want to like bring all of them back,
Yeah.
but they'll feel really hot over here. But once we had gone to this trek, I think it was Adi Kailash, I don't remember. Shrikant Kailash.
Shrikant,
maybe.
the toughest.
Yes, very tough.
the toughest
But
we've
I'm
done.
sorry for laughing. But we were going up this mountain, me and my mom and her Sherpa. And I'm like, I'm walking ahead, and then suddenly I look back and like, mom is not there. And then I look down the mountain and she's rolled off a mountain.
Almost
into
350 meters down.
Yeah, it was very tragic. I'm sorry, but it was so funny because she landed in a flock of sheep. Like
They saved my life. Otherwise, it was Kali Ganga.
yeah, like it was, I should be scared. It could have been gone
could have
either way, but it was so funny. It was just mom and 100 sheep behind her, and they kind of broke her fall.
Yeah, they did, they
Otherwise, we would have had a very tragic.
I
I'm
won't be giving
sorry.
this interview.
I also like, I've seen moms laugh fall in the mountains so many times at this point. She's amazing. Yeah.
But you know,
So instead of saving me, she was laughing. That's what
She
she
had a
did.
Sherpa with her who really liked her. But yeah, the sheep, goats, There was a
Horses.
cow this time that I.
Oh my
Oh my
God,
God,
Gautami
that
and the
was a
cows.
story. We're
We
going to
should get into that.
write a story on the Gautami and the Himalayan
Gautami and the
cow.
cows
Yeah, I
soon.
befriended
Gautami
a-
and the Himalayan cow.
I befriended a bunch. Yeah, but they're amazing, and
They're very nice.
I think it just anyone who is wants to connect to nature. You are a non-vegetarian wanting to become a vegetarian. You want
Yeah,
to
please visit
I
the
don't know,
mountains.
maybe become. And if you have been the kind of person who wants to not be afraid of animals anymore, go to the Himalayas. They're adorable. They're sweet.
And they're incredibly gentle.
Yeah.
Very
Amazing.
nice. Very nice animals, yeah.
Okay, so I have 3 photos with different people that you've met on your journeys, and something that happens with the way you guys, especially both of you, have traveled is that you've met a lot of different interesting groups of people
Yes.
in your journeys in the Himalayas.
Yes.
So I'm going to share a photo and then just give me context on who it is, where you were, what you remember.
So, okay.
That's our Sherpa.
So that's our Sherpa from
Mansarovar.
this was my first trek to Mansarovar, in fact. And
No, this was with me.
this one is with you.
This is the latest.
Oh, this is the latest one.
Yeah.
Sorry. So we've done it so many times. I'm sorry. So, okay. The thing about this guy was that first of all he found everything funny.
Yeah, he's laughing
Just
here
laugh at
also.
everything. So what happens is that initially you'd get irritated because you're in a spiritual zone and he'll crack jokes on stones and flowers but eventually we realized that the Drolma Pass, which is the highest point of Mansarovar at 21,600 feet, it's not easy at all.
Yeah.
So while you could take a mule and go travel up, but most of the time even the mule cannot make it. So they generally advise you to kind of step down and walk alongside the khachar or the mule. But when we have Sherpas like this, they make that journey very easy. They laugh everything out. They just make such stupid jokes, and then you're not focusing on how tired you are, but you're focusing on the path, the journey, the walk, and then you eventually learn a lot about them, their life, how they eat. For example, he made us taste yak's milk. We had the Tibetan tea there for so many times. We eat their little homemade things, and you befriend, you get to know a completely different culture. Sherpas are an inevitable part of your journey.
Yeah.
So because we are not professional climbers, but at the same time we don't trek for leisure. So we are into a yatra, into a spiritual realm altogether. You need good Sherpas who will support you, who will hold you, who will be there to encourage you. So without the Sherpas, and we are so grateful because in all these years,
No, we've had. I mean, like Edmund Hillary needed a Tenzing. You
Yeah.
can't climb the Everest
You
without a
cannot.
Sherpa,
You
no matter
cannot.
how professional you
Yeah.
are, because those guys are born with that blood. They're like
Yeah.
children of the mountain almost, and we've had some amazing Sherpas, and I don't think any credit or any of the attention that kind of we have received for climbing. I don't think any of that is justified without sharing it with the guys who have literally held our hands and taken us to summit these mountains. So any accomplishment has so many people in the background that you don't acknowledge at times.
Yeah.
And
You really are not anything. I mean, you might have the good
Right.
intention, and that I, as a mother, I took my kids. That was my intention, but to fulfill that intention, you need the people who are there. And you need to trust them because they are very nice people. They live in the mountains. They don't have many demands. And our journey in the last 13, 14 years in the mountains is that they're incredible human beings.
Yeah.
They come with very, very grounded, rooted values. You are very safe along with them. And in fact, we have tried many times. When I think back, I get very scared because I'd have this young girl with me,
Yeah.
and we'd be in hectares and hectares and hectares of kilometers. You would never find a single soul except your Sherpas walking with you. Now, how much do you have to trust that, that person? So imagine, so that's what the Sherpas are to us, and we are eternally grateful to them.
We love you. This is another photo. So please.
This Gautami needs to talk about Himmat Kaka.
oh,
Yeah. Himmat Kaka is no more now, but we've had, for him, Gautami was his daughter, and we've met these people all from, in fact, from all over Gujarat, right? From Surat and from Surendranagar. And I know Gautami feels very emotional about Himmat Kaka, but they adored her because she was just 14 or 15 when they met her for the first time.
I might need a
Yeah, and we need
napkin.
And we actually checked with them on 3 different occasions, and they have given us some, I don't know, some very different perspective about life, about people, about swag, about being cool. These men,
No, they were amazing.
they
We,
60 years
yeah.
old who don't speak any other language except Gujarati and Hindi, and we fantastically got along with them, especially Gautami. Of course,
No,
I
I
did,
think
but
we had this group of kakas that had come with us, and typical that carried all their theplas and like all the chevdas and everything. And I think that was again because it was my first Adi
yeah,
Kailash, right?
Adi Kailash. We met them at Adi Kailash.
So it was just unreal how a young girl from like a city going to boarding school connects with like a kaka from Surendranagar
Yeah.
who walks like Narmada Parikrama. I don't know. They were just. It was my first experience of unfiltered human connection
Yeah.
because nobody was. We didn't hang out with them because of their background or who they were, how they looked, how much money they had, or it was just purely a journey that we all took together. And it's not like we talk every day. I haven't spoken to them maybe in years, but I will never forget Himmat Kaka's no more. He passed away, I think maybe a year and a half.
A year and a half ago,
Ago?
while praying to Lord Shiva,
Yes,
that was his
so,
moment. So they had this
Felt a
connection on the
little-
heart.
yeah. And they were
had-
amazing for 70 years old. That guy walked faster than all of us.
Yeah, and
was so good.
and in his group were people who walk all the way, say, from Bhavnagar to Pashupatinath in Nepal,
Yeah.
and they do it so flawlessly. So
Without
why-
any media, without
Yeah,
any
yeah.
shosha, they're
Yeah.
just, it's amazing.
The whole idea of actually doing this with all of you is to make you understand that this is not something that requires specialization. This is not something that you need to go to the media and talk about, or you need to get interviewed. It's about a journey and how that journey can transform your life first and the people who are around you after that. So a journey to the mountains, because we can talk about that the most because that's what we have done, but I am sure that it has to do with anything that is connected to nature. It could be forest trails, it could be diving in the oceans, it could be walking alongside a river, and I'm sure it's the same energy, and people who have done that will connect to what we are saying right now.
Yeah.
And they're heroes. They're all heroes. They are incredible, simple people who pay their taxes on time, who make sure that they do not hurt some other person's emotion or do not have any ulterior motive about anything that they do. They are the real heroes, and we should really appreciate if we know people like them. Yeah.
I agree. Okay, the last image we have is this.
Don't show me more people there.
Oh my God, this is a couple from France. And I forgot his name, but he and his wife, so the wife is 2 years older to him, and so they were about 70, 72, and I met them because I did this motorbike trip from Manali to, yeah, to Leh. I didn't do the whole trip, I did only part of that trip, in fact the easier part of the trip, near Lama Yuru, so the whole Sanskar road, and it was, so I happened to bump into these, bump into this couple who have been traveling in their mini van for the past 35 years. So they have traveled all over the world in a van, which I don't know, I didn't think it would even reach 5 kilometers, but it was pretty good, I guess. And they cook there, they live there, they eat there whenever they feel that they are tired, and they just find local employment. So because they're French, they'll teach a French class, or they'll teach how to make pottery or artwork, or teach how to make pickles, and then they'll get money, and then they'll travel far.
Are these the people who taught you how to make the infused salts?
They are the ones who
Okay.
yes, so they are the ones who taught me how to make the infused salt, which we make in Anahata now. But so that's what Anahata again is. That is what it is. Anahata is about the Himalayas. people whom I met, with whom I lived, starting from rishis, babajis, two people, travelers like him, who taught me how to make different things, and how those things have so much of value, because they gave me the recipes. They didn't have any intention of selling it to me, or nor did I ever have the intention of selling it to anybody else. These recipes have been with me for the past 14 years. I just decided to capitalize on them for the foundation, so that we can reach more people, we can educate more people about India, about Indic traditions, about simple things in life. And mountains have taught me that simplicity, out and
I
out.
think that's also a very important point about the people in the mountains, whoever touchwood we have met,
Yes.
are generally not the type who will, not saying that anywhere else there are good people and bad people everywhere, but in general have been the most kind-hearted, selfless,
Yes, selfless,
very
yeah,
selfless,
very selfless,
not
yeah.
money-minded, or oh, you come from this place. So the only thing is that they're very thrilled to know we're from Gujarat. They're always very thrilled to know that there's a mother-daughter. She doesn't also look like my mom. So that thrills them. They love that, and we've received some very generous hospitality everywhere. So big shout out to the Himalayan people, like y'all rock.
Whether it's Himachal, Uttaranchal, Sikkim, I think
All across.
I think that's one thing we've realized, that people who live in the mountains by and large have a very similar
They're very
characteristic.
zen. They're very chill. Like
True.
I like that.
Very true. Me too.
Okay, so now we're going to get into our most recent trek.
Yes.
The three of us, company space. The three of us recently did Baratsar Lake trek. It's a trek in Uttaranchal.
Yeah.
And it was a 5-day trek. It took us a week overall to go and come back. And it was a very interesting experience. So I think we'll start with just how we decided to do the trek, because this was not the trek we were initially supposed to do.
Yes.
So Mom, you were the one who booked this trek.
I wanted to do, so there is
You were the one who booked this trek.
So there's a list of mountains that I'm supposed to finish. So it's an 18-year period in which I'm supposed to finish a lot of these mountains, and Kagbhushandi Lake trek was what we were supposed to do now. It's pretty intense. It's pretty, what do you call it? Thank you.
Yeah, it's like on a higher altitude, and the
Yes.
terrain is also tougher. But so instead of that, we decided to do something easier, which was supposed to be an easier trek. So I'm so glad we didn't go to Kagbhushandi in a way. I don't know if we made it back alive. But we went to Baratsar instead.
We went to Baratsar Lake, and this is I would like shout out to Himalayan hikers. We went with them, and they suggested that this trek would be good, depending on because I have not been working out too much and a little tough for me. So I said, why don't you do Baratsar instead of Kagbhushandi? And that's how the whole thing kind of took off. And it is in Uttarakhand, but
It's one of the highest lakes in Uttarakhand.
It's also one of the
actually.
most holy lakes.
Holy lakes, and the second highest lake
Second
in
highest
India.
lake, I think of it. Yeah.
In India, it's the second highest lake in India.
India or Uttarakhand?
No, India.
Okay.
And I don't even know when I have to talk about the Baratsar Lake. I just have so many mixed feelings. We've had spiritual journeys. Even this was a spiritual one, but there was. I think we have collectively identified it as very strong energy. Very, very strong energy, and not a pleasant one. Not something that you. Of course, it gave us.
I don't think it's negative energy. I just think that it was the type of energy that can scare you more than anything. It's kind of like we were on that trek, and none of us have ever really questioned if we're going to summit. It's like, okay, you're on this mountain, we're going to summit it. But during this trek,
Every single day.
we all had doubts about whether we should summit or not. My mom, I remember this
Every single day, these guys were like plotting an escape from the mountain. अच्छा आज इतना चलेंगे, यहाँ पे पहुँचेंगे, यहाँ से detour लेके वापस जाएंगे. Then we'd go to the next. नहीं आज यहाँ से detour लेंगे. Then reached a point where there was no detour, but like life
To
and
summit.
death.
To summit, yeah.
And I remember very clearly this one night, we were sitting around like a fire that our Sherpas had made for us. and we were all
And we actually
talking.
planned our entire return journey.
Yeah. And my mom looked at us and she was like, I have a feeling that if I summit this trek, I'm going to be an inconvenience to someone. And we
Yeah.
all just laughed and we were like, nothing's going to happen, it's going to be fine. And we went and we did the trek and
And
we
turns
all-
out that I turned out to be definitely a lot of inconvenience, because I'll tell you what happened. We did the oh my god, the lake is so
That's-
beautiful.
On the fourth day, we summited the lake. So up till then, it was fine, I
It
think.
was fine. It was, and it was crazy. It was, I mean, the beauty of Uttarakhand, and oh my god. I mean, we did experience this in Adi Kailash when we were doing Adi Kailash and Gautami, and I just couldn't get over.
what we were
How
seeing.
scenic it was.
Yeah, and then you go to the boss of it all, which is Mansarovar, because again, Mansarovar is another level. It's not. You cannot
It doesn't
compare
belong
it
to
doesn't
this
belong to Earth,
realm.
basically.
Yeah,
It doesn't belong to the.
Mansarovar is definitely like I think an intergalactic, exotic, divine experience. Like if I had to put it in one way.
But-
so despite all of our claims of wanting to go back, we did reach pretty high up. This is a photo of the three of us, I think on summit day. Or
This
the
was on
day-
summit day.
on
On summit day, yes.
But this
yes.
is like the beginning of summit day, so we're all looking very like happy and smiley, and that's
Yeah.
pretty high up in the mountains. And this is just another. It was incredible, guys. Like I think that anybody who's ever been in the middle of the mountains, especially at that height, you can't process how things
we were
like
at
this
about
exist
15,000 feet over
in the
here.
world.
But I'll tell you something. It is that about Barat sir, it just, we could never reach it somehow. So when we eventually reached the lake, and then when we saw the lake, I mean, we were only crying. It was beautiful, and that's what happens to most people when they summit. You know, that they feel very overwhelmed and all of that. But when we were to turn back to do the return journey, somehow I just lost all energy. It was me who first, I just lost, I couldn't walk, and I don't know what happened, and it's never happened to me before. And in fact, I've done much tougher trucks, because we've talked tougher treks. Okay. Or I stop catching on to your mother. So
No, I think, Bharat se, like she said, there's a lot of, the locals over there believe in a lot of like puja and a lot of like bali that happens over there. So
they still do that. I hate that.
Yeah.
But
So when we went up, the first 3 days, the first 4 days were great. We were able to summit right on time. We reached the lake. That was beautiful too. But right after we turned back, shit went south. And I don't know what happened.
The weather.
So we got caught in a hailstorm. Now
Oh my
just like
God,
list
it
of
was-
things that happened to us. We got caught in a hailstorm. Then we had to cross like 11 mountains on the way back. And 2 of these mountains were just rock.
Yeah.
It was a
weren't
landslide. There was like a fresh-
you can see it's just like rock. And then my mom decided that okay, just leave me here to die and you all go. So we were like, okay, we can't leave you here to die. So instead of climbing the way back that we came, which in like it had like an ascent to it, the Sherpa was like, "Ek kaam karo, ek thoda lamba route le lo." But it's on a like same
plane.
yeah, it's on the same plane. It's not an incline. So we were like looking at her halat. I got very scared, and then
I think she
Lavanya.
had hypothermia setting in.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
she couldn't
had-
breathe and stuff, and then Lavanya had like anxiety setting in because mom had
That was also,
hypothermia.
my eyes were yellowing.
Yeah,
and-
so I at that moment had to take like a very like split
Strong.
decision,
Yeah,
like either
yeah.
we're doing this or we're not, because I couldn't like let
Yeah,
them
that was
die.
Gautami. She took over, and
So we decided, the Sherpa was like, you go from this route, and it turns out that that entire route was damaged by landslide.
Landslide.
So
which
like
the Sherpa didn't know.
didn't know.
To
So
his
there were like
defense.
3 whole mountains which were just nothing but landslides, like loose rock, and we had detoured too much like to go back. So that night actually we ended up walking 22 hours
That was
straight.
crazy.
And
I think it was scary. I mean,
think
I
it
don't
was
think we
near
still
death.
have.
I don't
yeah.
think we've had a near death experience.
one.
This was the first time we
No, I
felt
think
like
Shrikant, when I got lost, that was. But even then, it was not this scary.
yeah, I feel like this is the first time I've been like, shit, will I leave this mountain alive or
Yeah.
like I don't know.
I was ready to die. I know I can never forget that feeling, because
And mom and my sister may have threatened mom of so many things to just keep her walking.
yeah, it
Like,
was very bad. It was very bad. And
No, but I think we're all very strong. I feel like
no,
I'm
that's
very
the
proud of
takeaway,
doing
because
it.
what even the Sherpas told us was that very few people over the years have been able to
Yeah, we were
summit.
the first ones to do it in like 2 years.
Yeah,
or
in 2 years,
something.
we were the first people to do it.
And they gave us all like mad respect when we came
Oh, that
back
respect
down.
was insane when we
Because when they
came
knew
back.
like 3
yeah.
girls had come, they were like, oh, like, you know, women, like, you know, they'll go back, they won't be able to finish it.
Nobody thought
And then
that we'd
when
be
we
able to.
came back, like even local women themselves, you know.
The whole
don't-
villages would kind of follow us
Yeah,
and come.
It was so funny.
like celebrity status over there. But it's beautiful, and I still have not been able to wrap my head around, you know, what happened
The
at Baratsar. But I do know one thing, that they were gods protecting us. I can tell you that for sure, because the kind of mountains we crossed, it was not possible for somebody to cross it without getting hurt or
Yeah,
seriously
absolutely.
injured, and nothing happened to us. You know, so
No, it's 4 weeks after, and I'm still tired. Like I'm exhausted. I think from that trek.
we
and
came back on the 16th.
तो याद भी नहीं.
Yeah,
my
it's
life
been-
has changed after
It's
Baratsar.
been 12 to 13 days since we've come back from Baratsar, and I know my leg had swollen up, and you know, all of that had blisters, but in spite of that, you know, I can never forget the experience I had at that lake.
I think what that return journey really did was, especially like for me, first of all, when I looked at Baratsar Lake, when we reached the lake, I cried.
Yeah, oh my
I
God.
cried when I looked at the lake, and I just made up my mind that this is how I'm gonna try to live my life. I'm gonna try to be like the lake that just flows. But when we were coming back and we went through this insane experience, I think it just informed me of my own strength. I have, I could question my strength in many places, but the endurance that the three of us showed up on that mountain, it really informed me that, you know what, if I can do this, if I can come out of this alive, I can literally do anything. And
Yeah.
it really helped me believe in myself
Yeah.
a lot more than I did before. And I think that's what the mountains can do for you. They can be, you have to forget every piece of comfort, you have to forget everything you knew, because when you're in that position where it's do or die, like who are you going to be then? And I think
Yeah.
it really showed me that we have it in us to pass through the hurdles of life to get to the destination where we can achieve what we want.
Exactly. And after such a tough trek, you know, at least Gautu Lavanya are ready to go back to do some more adventurous stuff. So that's for sure.
Wow, I'm chilling.
The
now for
Black
2
Peak.
years. Oh yeah, I have
The Black Peak, and I still have Nanda Devi to finish,
Black Peak
and
is
and Kagbhushandi stays with me, and I have to finish Shrikhand and Kinnaur again with Lavanya and Vedant, and I don't know how I'm going to do that. But so that's the whole thing about the Himalayas. So the journeys that we've done is not professional. The journeys that we've done are not amateur either, you know. So, but we have trekked for a spiritual experience, probably not even, much more professionally than a professional would, you know, with very less equipments. In fact, no equipments except a stick.
No,
you know.
there have been times we've slept in the forest,
We
the
slept in a
cave.
Yeah, not
you
had
know,
food.
You've not had food, and
Yeah.
I think kind of why who I am today, my personality, the way I look at life, what I want to do with my life. I think the mountains have taught me a lot about like that, because I think I found a lot of times when I've been super confused, you know, कि ये करना चाहिए ये, and I've happened to go on a trek, I've come back with an answer.
With an answer, yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think the biggest takeaway for me, even from Baratsar, like I saw myself in a completely, like when you experience something like, oh, I'm physically gonna die, and
Yeah.
you come back from that, you know, I think that teaches you so much about yourself. Like nothing that no textbook can ever teach you or no course can ever teach you, because you are the most vulnerable, I feel, in a position
Yeah.
like that. And that's when you know like how strong you are and
Yeah,
what
that's
you're
how
made
you
of.
know. And we would never been able to do this if our Sherpas were not with us. They took us through
Huge.
everything. They have been there with us no matter what. And so when your intentions are pure, when you're in the right place, and your end goal is nothing but to just give, you get those kind of people in your life, you know, who share the same very intention. And I think that's what the mountains have taught
Oh,
us.
absolutely.
Nothing happens in isolation. You need people.
Yes, yes,
I agree.
absolutely.
So I think this is,
Yeah.
we've reached the end of everything that we wanted to share with you guys.
Like upar se, very upar se.
But I hope that you could take something away from this.
Yeah.
The main intention is to, like mom said, to show you that anything you want is possible. You don't have to have the qualifications you think you need to. You just need to have the right intention and go with the right mindset, and the universe will kind of
Yeah,
make
you
it happen.
surrender to, because
Surrender, I
you know
think,
it is, you know, God talks to you once in 24 days through some medium or the other. You know, he or she might not come in person, but it could be a message you heard, an Instagram post that you scrolled about, or a conversation that you hear. Maybe it will answer the question that you're looking for. So listen, learn to listen at least 30 to 40% more than you speak, you know, and you will see that, you know, all the answers lie in and around you. So don't be confused. When you start connecting with nature, like I said, whether with oceans, rivers, mountains, forests, you learn to ground yourself, you learn to open your inner ears, you know, you learn to absorb things that are so important. So I think that's what, as a mother, I would like to advise. If any of you who are children who are watching this is what I'd like you to say. Yeah.
So thank you so much for joining us for this very special conversation. It's very special and close to our heart.
Yeah.
And
And it's the first time we are doing something like this. We've never talked about this. But we've now decided to talk about it so that more and more people can do what we feel will help them, you know. This is the only intention.
No, I think definitely we will come to a point where we write a book or some.
Very
we
soon.
will be right, because you can put it a lot better in
Better,
words.
yeah.
I also feel
Yeah.
like there's so much depth to what we have gone through,
Yes.
that like when we talk about it, it just seems very like, you know, frou is the right word. Like it seems very surface, because these are experiences that can't be shared. Like it cannot be talked about. I feel like maybe putting it down in words would be a more
Yeah.
impactful
Yeah.
way
Yeah.
to do it. So what? Baby, wait for our book, guys. I'm announcing a book launch right now.
Absolutely.
We're going to be doing a book on the Himalayas, and no, it's just I'm so grateful to have a family like this
Yeah,
that
thank you.
supports me and has helped me. You know, most people don't do it because friends ही नहीं है जाने के लिए. मेरे को तो देखना ही नहीं पड़ता है, हमारे family में ये सब. So I'm also very blessed to have a family that kind of does cool things with me.
You
and I
need
think
to
that's
you
really
need to
important.
take out time and connect with nature. That's
Yeah,
all. That's the
absolutely.
first step to living holistically.
Yeah.
Go hug a tree. You know, people think you're mad, but trust me, the energy that you feel when you hug a tree.
Yeah,
You know,
it's
plant
amazing.
more trees. Love animals. Love the animals. You know, I mean,
you're
you're
kind of part of yourself.
yeah, you
I
just
agree.
yeah, you just, and that's that. And Lavanya, thank you so much for
Thank
doing
you.
this for us. You know.
So thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, stay tuned on this channel. We are going to be sharing a lot more from our experience and behind the scenes of the brand. And please subscribe. See you soon.